Hey there everyone, I'm Don, Professor Goway, and welcome to the GowayPro Travel Tales Podcast. Travel far and travel often. Hello everyone, welcome to the GowayPro Travel Tales Podcast. We are continuing our theme of Morocco, and I say continuing because I think 2 weeks ago, I did a webinar with Mahima, who is here with us today, and she is from the Morocco Tourism Board, or she represents the Morocco Tourism Board here in North America. And in that webinar, she was passing on, as I term it, all the meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts of a trip to Morocco. So everything from how to get there, how to get around, what to see and do, of course, which we will probably touch on today. But we're going to take a different tact, I think, of it, as our podcast is titled, Three Views of Morocco. We're going to look at it from three views, my view, Mahima's view, and our special guest, Fahd Karrakchou. I'm hoping I pronounced your surname correct, Fahd. Did I get it right?
Okay. Yeah,
That's okay. Okay. So when you say okay, I got it wrong. So can you please give us your name and with the correct pronunciation?
So I'm Fahd Karrakchou, and I'm the Canadian market manager at the Moroccan National Tourism Office.
Okay, then. Now, I would assume, Fahd, that were you born in Morocco?
Born and raised in Rabat, capital of Morocco.
Well, there we go. So that will be our locals' view of their country, his country, Fahd's opinion on it all. So I think the first thing we need to get out of the way, for those watching our video version of the podcast, you can see Fahd sitting in front of the Moroccan flag. And this is being recorded 2nd of July. I think it's tomorrow or Saturday. Canada, where I'm based, is where Mahima is based, are playing Morocco in the World Cup. So, but I know who you're going to support. It goes without saying. As a Moroccan, you're going for Morocco. Mahima. Now, I'm an Aussie in Canada, but I'm going to support Canada. Now, Mahima, you're in both worlds here. You're a Canadian sitting in Toronto representing Morocco. I don't want to get you fired here, but who are you going to support?
The winner.
The winner. Oh, I love that. Perfect.
You're getting me into trouble on this one. So
again, I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So, good luck to all involved for the upcoming World Cup games. So this is
rather timely. In the end of the day, it's just a game.
Exactly. It is just a game. Though all fans are very, very passionate about it, be it because from my side of the world, well, not my side of the world, my interests, we have the rugby international season starting this week as well. So supporting Australia. Anyway, we're not here to talk about sports, World Cup or otherwise. We're here to talk about Morocco. So let me start with asking some questions as somewhat of a novice to the country. And these are historical based, but I think it's also interesting with respect to the country itself, because when people look at a map of Morocco, for those who may not know, I'm just going to change my screen here as well to show a map. So there is Morocco for those looking at our podcast, our video version. So I believe, Fahd, it's I think the official distance between mainland Europe and northern Morocco is 8 miles, or about 13 kilometers.
I think from by the Strait of Gibraltar, crossing it in 25 minutes, bypass ferry. And we used to have the shorter connection between the European continent and the Moroccan continent, a Gibraltar Tangier flight, because of the shorter flight in the world at that time. And it was easy. Important.
Well, I'll throw this one at Mahima. Mahima, most people when they travel to Morocco, I'd say 95% of people when they travel would be heading into the northern part of Morocco, which is all the big cities of Casablanca, Fez, Rabat, etc. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also that's because of the fact that Royal Air Maroc goes into Casablanca, and in Canada, US especially, we've got a good airlift with Royal Air Maroc, and therefore going into Casablanca, which makes the first point of entry into Morocco possible.
And most people like myself as a first-time traveller You immediately think of places like Casablanca from the movies and Fez, Rabat, etc. So, Mahima, what are, I guess, as I said as an introduction, you're more immersed into Morocco than I am from a where to go and see point of view. So what is the classic itinerary or city stop that people would normally ask for or should ask for when they look to Morocco?
For the first timers, and I'll just go on the first timers point of view, going into Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakech, and depending on how much time they have, maybe 5, 6 nights, 7 nights, Essaouira, that's going to be a good introduction to Morocco. But Morocco has got so many years of history. In these cities, you barely scratch the surface. Even in our last conversation, when you said how much time we need for Morocco, I said, how much time can you give?
Yeah.
So the longer you stay in Morocco, the more you get to discover what's pretty much, in my opinion, a hidden gem. Like, you just go into a city and you don't need to just go there for a day. You go there for 2, 3, 4 days, and you actually get to experience the city in its true essence. But for starting, Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakech, Essaouira would be a good starting point. And for those who are into resorts and adventure or water sports, like Fahd mentioned, going into Agadir could be that extension possible. If they're into kite surfing, going into Dakhla would be an option as well.
Yeah, because what a lot of people don't realize, and I had a general understanding of the geography of Morocco, is that it has, obviously, it's beautiful coastline, so there's beach options, water options available all up and down the coastline. As we discussed, there's the desert, and even the northern area, you can get to the edges of the Sahara Desert. There's the Atlas Mountains, so there's lots of relative high altitude, trekking, mountain biking options, adventure options as well, and to the point where there's even skiing available in Morocco.
For 2 months in a year, you can ski in about 50 kilometers south of Marrakech.
Yeah, and the other thing too about Morocco, historically, more modern history, is that I know from the past that Morocco, because it is so close to Europe, you can literally, the ferries, as Fahd mentioned as well, you can drive a vehicle over from Spain to Morocco. And of course, Marrakech was a famous sort of hippie area back in the 50s and 60s, and something that I used to do, overlanding, was, this is one of the sort of starting points of the African overland. So you drive your vehicles across, and driving through Morocco back then, and even to this day, this is how we did our fam trip 18 months ago. We drove pretty much everywhere. So it is a relatively small country, and particularly the northern part, where most people will focus their time. So getting around is easy. Fahd, other ways to get around, obviously driving, as I just mentioned, flying, of course. Is there a rail system in Morocco that people can take advantage of?
We have one of the best railroad system in northern part of Africa. We are the only country in Africa that has the bullet train based on the French technology, connecting Tangier to Casablanca. And next year we will have it connecting the city of Casablanca, the airport of Casablanca, and Marrakech. And by 2030, we will have it connecting also Agadir in the south of Morocco. And this is in preparation for the 2030 World Cup that we will host with Spain and Portugal. And in the introduction, when we said that we are very close to Spain, but we are very close to Portugal as well. So in about an hour, Marrakech could be connected, an hour 20 could be connected to Lisbon, and an hour and 50 could be connected to Madrid. And of course, the southern part of Spain could be connected in half an hour. or with 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's what I think. I always, to this day, even all the travel I've done, and Mahima, you can relate to this as well, because we're talking off air that your heritage is Indian, and therefore India is a big country geographically, as is Canada, as is Australia. So getting anywhere in those three countries and the US, takes a day, 2 days sometimes to cross a province or a state. And here we're talking an hour and a half. You can be not only in another country, you can be literally in another continent, from Africa into Europe or vice versa. So I still find that fascinating that the distances, relatively speaking, to the US, Canada, India, for Mahima's point, and Australia, are so short, and it's so much easier to get around and combine. So that's the other good thing about Morocco. And a lot of people, and we started the webinar with this. It's Africa. A lot of people, because it is so close to Europe and linked, people think, oh, it's Europe, but it's not. It's Africa. It's an African country. It's in the north of the continent, but it's also very different to the other African countries. And I'll throw this to Fahd. Most people, when they think of Africa, naturally think of wildlife, safaris, etc. Whereas Northern Africa in particular, Africa, Tunisia, Libya, Tunisia, and Morocco they do have wildlife, of course, but it's not a wildlife destination per se. So, Fahd, can you sort of speak to that aspect of a visit into Morocco versus maybe Eastern and Southern Africa?
Well, actually, I think that every part of Africa is beautiful. First, we have the chance to be the closer country from the American continent to the Sahara. We have also, as you said, we have 4 range of mountains. So in the north, we have the Rif, we have the Nickel Atlas in the center, and we have the High Atlas, which is the biggest chain of mountains we have in Morocco. And we have also the Anti-Atlas, which is the closest mountains to the desert. And it's the last rampart we have between the desert and the northern part of Morocco. But yes, if we go back in history, we used to have savanna as well, because the Sahara was not that big at that time. And for example, in archaeology, we still find some springboks or some other animals that we could find, for example, in Kenya or elsewhere. And just for you to know, Morocco is a territory which is very ancient. The oldest burial of Homo sapiens was found in Morocco back 300,000 years ago. So the ancestor of all the humanity, we could say that it's the territory of Morocco.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Even if you have Lucy, which is not Homo sapiens sapiens, but if we are talking about Homo sapiens sapiens, which is the closest human to our species, but our actual species, it's Homo sapiens sapiens, and the oldest burial was found near Safri. Safri is on the coast of Morocco, about 2 hours and a half from Marrakech as well. The excavation, I think, started in 2018, and they're still making some more discoveries there.
Yeah, so it's like any country, or particularly African country, there's a very deep and rich history there. From a cultural side of things, if I can ask you this, it is a predominantly Islamic country in its beliefs and culture, but it has an influence of the French as well and the Spanish from history. I pick up your accent, and I could be completely off this. Like, you sound as if you have a French accent. So are you a French speaker as well as an English speaker? Do you speak Arabic as well?
Well, actually, my mother tongue is Arabic, and we're speaking French in Morocco because of this tax protectorate. And in the northern part of Morocco, a lot of people are speaking Spanish, and I speak a little Spanish. Maybe I'm not practicing it a lot, but yes. Just for you to know, for example, the call center of Telefonica, which is the biggest operator in Spain, is in Tangier, Morocco. They're speaking Spanish.
Okay. Yeah. So again, sorry.
Yeah, to your point, you said that we are a Muslim country. Yes, we are a Muslim country. We have a rich history of 1,200 years since the Arab world arrived in Morocco. But in the same time, we have also a very strong Amazigh heritage. Amazigh are the first nation of Morocco. So back 5,000 years ago, and for example, in 40 AD, there was a kingdom of Amazigh, which was called at that time during the Roman era, Mauritania Tingitana, sorry. Which makes Morocco a very, very ancient kingdom and empire of the northern African continent.
So let me ask this, Mahima, testing your historical knowledge here. I've just been listening to some podcasts on Hannibal and Carthage, which I think is modern day Tunisia or Tunis. So there are Roman ruins, obviously, in a lot of northern Africa due to the Roman Empire. Are there Roman ruins in Morocco?
Yes. There are one of the biggest, which is Volubilis. So Volubilis is just 60 kilometers from north of Meknes. Meknes is also one of the capital of Morocco back in time. And Volubilis is one of the. If we skip, Carthage is the biggest city we have also in Northern Africa.
Right. Going back to geography here, I also note, and we have spoken to Tenerife from the Canary Islands. Mahima, what's the connection like if someone wanted to look at doing Morocco and the Canary Islands? Is it easy to get to and from out of Morocco?
Not a question that I can answer.
Oh, no, okay. Of course. There's Binta Carina is connecting very well the southern part of Morocco, like Dakhla, and also Casablanca and Marrakech. So if you are in Tenerife, you can get to Morocco very easily in 40 minutes flight.
Oh wow! Okay, So the only reason I brought up because I say I'm sort of map viewing as we're talking here, and we had just recently done a podcast with Tenerife. I didn't realize. I knew it was close, but didn't realize it was that close. And Fahd's saying it's like literally 40-minute flight. Sorry. So that's a good add-on for someone looking at it. So in that vein, Mahima, you mentioned some of the big cities for a first-time visitor to Morocco. Someone coming back for the second time, or if one of our agents gets a request from a client saying, I want to go to Morocco, but I don't want to do all the big sites. I want to do something a little bit off the beaten track or less visited. What would be your recommendations for that?
The less visited, some of those less visited spots are also becoming popular, but I'll go into Fez, just because it's got so much history. And sometimes when you're doing the Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakech, and Essaouira, you skip going into Fez because you do need to drive. So one of the options of going is going up to Tangier from Casablanca or Rabat, and then driving down into Fez. And that can be a very long driving day, which could be broken down by taking a stop in Chefchaouen, the Blue City. But that's one spot that I will say go to.
I'll visit also Volubilis.
Yes.
When you go down from Chefchaouen to Meknes, you can have a stop in Volubilis, spend at least 2 hours to visit this big city, and also visit Meknes. Meknes is also a really beautiful city to visit. It's part of the imperial cities. So it used to be a capital of Morocco, and that's why we call them imperial cities. So Fez, Meknes, Rabat, Marrakech are imperial cities.
Yeah, and that's actually what we did on our farm trip. We did that drive, and it was definitely wonderful into Volubilis as well.
And I'll add to what Fahd just said about Meknes. In addition to that, for anybody who does like wine, because that's a wine growing region in Morocco. Young wines, but really good wines, they come from the Meknes area.
Okay, then again, even our conversations last week, Mahima, I didn't know that Morocco was had a wine industry. That's interesting. Okay, so
actually, in talking about Volubilis, at that time there is a wine industry. So back in 40 AD, if we check the dated like this. But under French protectorate, a lot of people came from Bordeaux and find that there was a culture of wine there, and they found that the terroir of Meknes was good and was as good as the one of Bordeaux, and they started doing up vineyards there, and this led to quite a big industry, and we are not only producer, but we are also exporter of wines all over the world. Mainly in France, because a lot of French people do know quality of the Moroccan wine. Spanish as well, and we do have it here in Canada. You go to SRG, you could find some Moroccan wine, or in BC. The one in Ontario, LCBO?
Yep, LCBO.
LCBO, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting because we have a lot of our travel partners out there who work with groups, and a lot of them do wine tours, and the usual suspects, of course, France, Australia, South Africa, are, as I said, usual suspects. But there's a new one for you too. Again, more and more clients are looking for something different, so it doesn't have to necessarily be a different country, but a different travel style, or, pardon the pun, different taste as well. So if you have any wine groups or wine connoisseurs, be it FIT or groups, then look at Morocco for a wine-backed trip. Mahima, are there any lesser known or less popular experiences in Morocco? Now, it could be within Marrakech, it could be within Casablanca, or it could be in the hillside somewhere, be it maybe visiting a women's co-op, doing a homestay in a big city, doing a food tour. Are there any sort of new, I wouldn't say new, well, they could be new, but again, back to my original descriptor, lesser known experiences that people should consider when they're looking at Morocco?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you asked this question, because top of the chart with the less known is golf. And I've got Fahd over here who will talk everything about golf. He knows.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually, what the first golfing destination of North Africa? We have 40 golf courses, all designed by big names of golf, like Cable Wilson, Overton Jones, Kyle Phillips, VJ Singh as well, designed the beautiful golf course in the vicinity of Tangier. We have also a virtual guide player, which is the only links we have in Morocco, about 100 kilometers from south of Casablanca in El Jadida, called also Mazagam. And just in Marrakech, we have 12 golf courses. So the first golf course started in 1928. It's Way Golf from Marrakech. And the most ancient one in Tangier. It's Way Golf Tangier. It's back to 1914. So we have more than 100 years of golf experience in Morocco.
No, again, something I didn't know. Mahima, anything else you want to add experience-wise?
Absolutely. So if they don't want to play, they just want to get their hands dirty, try a hand at making pottery or tile making. Those are activities that are not thought of. They're not on top of mind, but can be experienced. Of course, cooking. Morocco and food, they go hand in hand. So learn how to make tagine, whether it's chicken, lamb, fish, my mouth is watering already. So cooking, you mentioned about co-ops, women-led co-ops, absolutely. And especially when you're going into Essaouira or into Agadir, you have the opportunity to experience or go in and see what those co-ops are all about. Even buy some argan oil on the way back home. And the less known activities would also be water-based, because people don't think, but Morocco has 3,000 kilometers of Atlantic coastline. There's a lot of water alongside. And then there's also the Mediterranean.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are there diving opportunities off the coast of Morocco? I'm sure there must be.
Yes.
In the north of Morocco, and so in the north of Morocco, it's not so far from Tetuan. We have one of the most beautiful site for scuba diving and exploring the Mediterranean, which is a very beautiful beautiful area. I mean,
okay. Morocco has always been known, well, at least in my thinking of it, hearing my mother speak about it, who was a bit of a hippie herself, has always been a very open, welcoming country, even though it was heavily Islamic. You know, it's quite liberal with its in respect to women. So, any women-only travelers, Mahima? Well, actually, let me make this a double question. Any women-only travelers and/or LGBTQ plus travelers? Is Morocco a safe and welcoming destination for that group of traveler?
Women, I will start with women, and I'll say yes, hands down. Mm-hmm. Morocco has welcomed more women-only groups, and they tend to keep coming back because they feel safe traveling into Morocco, and they feel welcomed. They feel they belong there. I can surely attest for myself. When I get asked a question about safety, I'm like, I feel safer there than here at times. And here is somewhere in Canada. Let me not name the city for now. But yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to LGBTQ plus, I haven't seen anything otherwise to say they're not welcomed. Mm-hmm. Fahd, do you want to jump into that one too?
Yeah, no, of course. Actually, Morocco is a melting pot of people. In all our history, there is a history of tolerance everywhere in Morocco. Because we're not only Amazigh, we are Amazigh, we are Arab, A part of us is African, of course. Another part of us from Europe as well, and of course this led that our country is always open to people and always open to other cultures or to other actually not only to people but to other cultures. So we welcome all the cultures, and that's what made us a country very diverse in terms of culture. And we have one of the most precious heritage in Morocco that was a mix between Amazigh, Arab, African, and European styles. And that's why when you are in Morocco, you don't feel that you are in another Islamic country or something like this. You're in a country very woven by all these cultures, and it's a country to visit. It's a country where people should go with no apprehension, and sometimes in Morocco, some people get back from the trip from Canada, and they told me, I didn't know this person, but he welcomed me with an MNT. And sometimes people doesn't understand that this is part of our culture. This is part of our of how we are made as humans.
Yeah, I must admit that struck me as well. That it is so multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious, and tolerant is the word that you use, Fahd, and I agree with that 100%. And it stood out to me. I don't know why. I think it's just because you see such diversity in front of you, which you can see in other countries, but it's seen so much more on display in Morocco. And while I've been to many countries, supposed dangerous countries, when I was there, all these countries I felt very, very safe. I've never felt unsafe traveling anywhere in the world, to be honest. But in those sort of supposed dangerous countries, you notice it more because you go with this preconception of, this should be dangerous, but it's shown not to be. Whereas in Morocco, I didn't go in with that preconception because it's not there. But again, it was like, I don't know how, I can't really capture it in words, but it's, as you said, it's such a overtly welcoming, diverse, tolerant, I think it's the perfect word for it, country. And I don't like the word tolerant in that because it means someone's tolerating you, but it's welcoming. Everyone is welcome. Do as you do, and everything's fine. It's truly wonderful for that aspect of it, no matter where its location may be. In the northern part of Africa. Something, Mahima, I want to touch on too, just for our audience out there, as you mentioned, cooking as well. Our local operator in Morocco is run by a Moroccan and a French lady, actually French-Canadian woman, but her husband, Hazardine, he is a professional chef, or was a professional chef, and they have a little property, I can't remember, outside of Casablanca, I think. I could be wrong on that one. But anyway, you can stay with them, like a little hostel-y Airbnb type thing, and part of that stay will be a cooking lesson by a world-class chef. So cooking lessons in general are wonderful, but that's something to remember too when you're looking at booking a Morocco trip with Goway. We have that little in connection, so to speak, with our local operator, and cooking like a local is pretty cool in any country, but particularly in Morocco, again, due to the diversity and the literal melting pot of cultures, which has a literal melting pot of recipes, spices, and food taste and everything else like that. Fahd, you mentioned the World Cup. We started off the podcast with the World Cup. It's coming, I think you said 2030, is that correct? And it's shared between yourself
and we'll welcome it. Yeah, we would welcome it with Spain and Portugal, and Tangier, Rabat, Marrakech, and Agadir will be the cities in Morocco that will welcome the World Cup.
Right, and to Fahd's early point too, if someone wants to look at booking that, groups particularly, you don't have to limit yourself just to Morocco because it's so easy to get to Spain and Portugal. It's so close. So you could look at multiple games in multiple countries. Mahima, based on the fact...
I think for half an hour and 30 euros, you could be in Morocco. From Spain, from south of Spain, for example. From Portugal, for 60 euro, you can get to Morocco.
Okay. I'm going to be very facetious here. I wouldn't hold those prices because FIFA may get involved and push prices up as they like to. So,
you don't know. You don't know.
You don't know. Well, I think with FIFA, it'll be a given. And I am being facetious there. But Mahima, seeing how busy it is here in Toronto and as we see on TV in Mexico and the US, what would be your recommendation if someone wants to build a trip around the World Cup? Because 2030 is technically 4 years away, but it's not a long time away for this big event, and it is huge.
Yes.
I'm going to say 2 years out would be a good time to start blocking space. Is that fair, do you think, for Morocco, for talking the World Cup period?
I would feel that would be fair.
Yeah. Because
for example, those cities I told you are part of what we call Morocco Grand Tour that connects Tangier to Rabat, Casablanca, El Jadida, Essaouira, Agadir, Ouarzazate, Tadmel, and going up north, passing the Middle Atlas Mountains to Meknes and Fez, and getting back to Tangier via Chefchaouen.
Okay.
So this is the market. So this is the Morocco Grand Tour, for example, and that connects all the cities that where the World Cup is played.
I would assume too that with the World Cup coming, as most big events like this, World Cup, Olympics, etc., that apart from the train connections you're mentioning, that the countries will be doing a lot of infrastructure improvements to accommodate the World Cup as well.
Of course. Now all those cities are connected with the highway and connected also to domestic flights. And even Ryanair started some domestic flights inside Morocco, connecting, for example, Marrakech to Fez, or connecting Fez to Tangier or so. So, there are a lot of developments, and of course, by 2030, we'll be ready to welcome this beautiful event, and we will do it with the Moroccan touch.
The Moroccan touch. Sure. Let me ask you this question. As we're sitting here talking about the connections and the World Cup coming up, the distances we discussed between Spain and northern Morocco, Gibraltar and Tangier, it's 8 miles, 15 kilometres. Has there ever been discussion of a tunnel being built underneath as they did for the English Channel?
Actually, I think that we're talking about this channel 40 years now.
Okay.
It's quite a technical challenge because I don't know if you're familiar with the tectonic of the Rhodean side and the African side, and so making it is a very huge challenge for the architects, and that's why the project was always understudy. But I hope we'll see. And this is something that even the Moroccan government and the Spanish government recently talked about to restart this project and see how we could assess this technical issue, if I could say it like this.
Yeah.
It's not the right word, but
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I didn't realise. I thought it might have been the depth. I thought it might have been too deep at that area. But you're saying it's a tectonic plate. which
it's tectonic, but it's, in the same time it's deep. There are some parts which are deep, and a bridge was what was in the discussion, but after they go on the tunnel, but the tunnel should go with a lot of technical and engineering performances.
Yeah. Okay, then. So I think we'll start wrapping things up here. Excuse me again. Sorry about that. So, Mahima, is there anything else you'd like to leave our audience with about Morocco, be it the obvious or be it the less obvious when it comes to visiting time of the year, upcoming festivals? We discussed World Cup. Any other sights or sounds that have popped into your mind that you might want to let people know about?
Just to simply say that Morocco is a hidden gem. It's definitely a destination that is on a lot of people's radar. So just know one thing about Morocco, what Fahd talked about, and I'll expand on that there is a word in Morocco, marhaba, where they're talking about welcoming guests, and that welcome comes from their heart. And everybody is so in love with Morocco. Any Moroccan that you speak with, they're so in love with Morocco that they want to make sure every guest coming home or being sent to their home is well looked after. So no matter what your background is, what whether you're LGBTQ woman, man, what religious background, you'll be welcomed with open arms in Morocco.
Wonderful, and I can attest to that because we were as well. Fahd, is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before we say goodbye?
Well, actually, just keep in mind that Morocco is a country of contrast between ancient and modern, mountains and ocean, tradition and innovation. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of richness that lies not only in famous landmarks, but also to everyday experiences that you could have in Morocco, and local and country. You were talking about local encounters, and sometimes in Morocco, everything goes from a local encounter and would finish with a lesser known place, like the one that Mahima tried to tell.
Excellent. So I think everyone should be picking up on this, that, it's a small country relative to some of its neighbours in particular, and it's got so much packed into a small area, deserts to sea, mountains to beautiful farmland, wine. Let's go through the list, some of the things we touched on today: golf, wine, Roman ruins, volubas, very, very close to Canary Islands, short hop across to Spain and or Portugal, the deserts, as I mentioned, the mountains, multicultural, multi-religious, very, very welcoming, very, very tolerant. It's easy to get to from North America as well. It's easy to get to from mainland Europe. Someone's, again, if you don't want to fly directly or can't fly directly, using points on different carriers into anywhere in Europe and down into Morocco itself. Obviously, Spain, Morocco is a good combination. Portugal is a good combination.
In 2 hours and a half, you could be connected from Paris, 3 hours from Munich or London as well. From Montreal, it's just 6 hours 30. From YYZ, Toronto is just 7 hours 20. And of course, if you are connected from US hub, like for example JFK, it's just 6 hours 30. Washington DC, it's 8 hours 15. And there is a new connection with Delta from Atlanta, connecting Marrakech and in the dark flight, and it's about 8 hours 10.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's very easy to get to. And I think a big plus for our travel partners out there too, when you're talking to a client who may come to you about Europe, they're doing a traditional Paris, England, Germany, Austria, Italy type thing. Throw in an addition to Morocco, because as you've heard, it's very, very easy to get to. And while there's Africa, as we discuss, it sort of falls into the European catchment, for want of a better term. So a client can have a traditional European, Western European experience with all its history and culture, but then in a very short space of time be on the African continent, having an African experience as well, or more to the point, a Moroccan experience. So you can really diversify a standard European trip by adding Morocco. But of course, Morocco is easily, obviously, a standalone destination. And more importantly as well, it can be and should be a return destination. There is so much to see and do. You can do all the classic, as Mahima pointed out earlier on, but I don't want to say rush, but you see each bit a little bit versus really immersing yourself into the mountains, into the sea, into the desert, into the cities, into the souks, into the shopping, into the dining, etc. So on that note, I'd like to thank both our guests, Mahima and Fahd, both from the Moroccan Tourism Board, both based in Canada. Mahima's in Toronto, Fahd's up in Montreal. But also, if you want a bit more, again, meat and potato stuff about Morocco, please look up our webinar on our YouTube channel. The bit more sort of detailed, again, nuts and bolts of getting around Morocco, what to see and do, the accommodation levels, all that type of thing. But again, Morocco, as Mahima says, is a hidden gem within Africa. It's a hidden gem within Europe. There should definitely be a suggestion you make, our travel partners out there, for your clients when they're looking for something different. And while it's very, very popular, it's probably not as busy as the other European countries. So there's another plus to maybe diverting to Morocco on its own or adding Morocco to your overall itinerary. So once again, I'd like to thank you, Mahima, for your time today. Also, Fahd, for your time. And as always, to everyone out there, thank you for carving out an hour or so of your time. We know how busy you are. We hope today's little podcast sheds some new light, some different views on Morocco. And until next time.
Take care.